Hello everyone. So today we're gonna go on how to tune your guitar or bass. I'm gonna have a bass in my hand. So the difference is with the guitar, there's two more strings to tune. So as a beginner, you wanna make sure when you get your instrument, you should have a tuner, okay? Doesn't matter what brand you have, you need to have one. This will clip onto the headstock, and then from there, as you pluck the string, it'll make the sound that you need. You cannot start practicing any stringed instrument if it's out of tune. If it's out of tune, you're not going to hear the correct pitch, and you're going to be practicing completely wrong, and you won't be training your ear correctly. You want to train your ear as you're learning the instrument also. So you have to make sure before you practice any instrument, especially a stringed instrument, you want to make sure it's in tune. You can't practice if it's not in tune. So before you ever start practicing, you want to make sure everything's in tune before you start practicing. Otherwise, you shouldn't be practicing. If it's out of tune, it's going to create bad habits, all right? So that's the first thing. So even when you first buy your instrument, don't start practicing on it until you get a tuner. You can't practice if it's not in tune. That's rule number one. And even if it's in tune, as you're playing, you should start to notice if it starts to go out of tune. Depending on the instrument, the quality of it, that all makes a difference. With the heat, the cold, the weather changes, that will change the tuning also. You know, so if you practice today and then you pick it up tomorrow, don't go, oh, I tuned it yesterday, it's perfect. No. Anytime you pick it up to practice, check if it's in tune. You can't just say, oh, it was in tune, it should stay in tune. That's not true. It could change overnight with the tension, the heat, the cold, whatever it may be, the quality of the truss rod in the neck, the wood itself. So before you start practicing, always check the tuning. Plus, if you're playing and you notice there's some sound is off, check the tuning again, okay? So this is a super important thing. Always make sure your instrument is in tune before you start practicing. Let's go to the next thing. For a beginner, when they start playing either the bass or the guitar or any other stringed instrument, that needs to be in tune. So, you know, when you look at the bass, right, the thickest string is number 4, then 3, 2, and then the lightest is 1. So either when you're putting on new strings or when you're tuning, you want to always start with the thickest string first. If you're putting new strings on, put the thickest one first. If you're tuning your bass, start with the thickest one first. Why? If you start with the thinnest string, especially if it's a guitar, and you're starting to put all the other strings on, it's more likely you'll break that string with the guitar. The bass, not so much. So you always want to start with the thickest strings, and then as you start to tune them, start with the thickest to the lightest gauge. It's less likely you'll break a string with the guitar. With the bass, especially, same thing with the guitar, the thickest string will have the most pull on the neck. You gotta remember this is the neck. So it'll start to put it into a forward bend, right? Or you could say, people just call it relief or a forward bow. So when you start to tune the strings, you wanna start by tuning them or putting them on when you're changing your strings, but the thickest first, okay? Because if you start with the lightest gauge first to tune, with the guitar, it'll break. With this, it's just gonna be tuning for a long time, because this one, the top string, which is number 4, which is the E string, right? You got the E, A, D, and G. So you wanna start with the E and work your way with what they would say up in pitch. So you want to start with this first, because this is the strongest string. It's going to put the most tension on your neck by pulling it forward. So if you start with this and you start to tune all the way to the higher string, it'll be a lot quicker to tune. If you start with the high string, which is the first string, and then work your way down, this is just the vocabulary, right? You're going to be tuning over and over again, because this top string is going to put the most tension and pull this out of tune. So you're not going in circles forever. Start with the lowest string first, which is the E when you're tuning, and then work your way up. It's just the easiest thing to do. Nobody told me that when I first started. Okay, so we got that down. That's pretty simple. Now, the thing that you want to do, if your string, if you're in tune, the buzzing's from here. So if you're in tune, then from here, you're ready to practice. If you're not in tune, don't practice. You have to get your instrument in tune before you practice. Otherwise, you're picking up bad habits, because now you're not going to be training your ear right. So when you when you fret the string, this won't sound like an A. It could sound like something different. And that's not good. All right. So the basic tuning is E, A, D, and G. When you're checking your string with the tuner itself, right? Everybody, you can use different ones, right? It's not going to pick it up because it has to be attached to the headstock, right? So that's up in here. So if you're not using an expensive one on a pedal board, you're using one of these, right? So the thing that you want to do, if it's in tune with the thicker string, you go, okay, good. Let me go to the next one. That's in tune, good. That's in tune, good. Okay, now if it's out of tune, say you notice all of them are in tune, but the lowest string. So it depends if it's flat or if it's sharp. If it's flat, that's fine. You start to work your way up till it shows it's in perfect pitch for a G. Then you leave it. But now you don't go practice. You check it again. E, A, D, G. Now if they all show that they're perfect pitch, you're ready to practice. One thing too is you could have E's either flat or sharp, and then when you check the A, D, or G, you could see that they're good, but the E's out of pitch. So now when you tune, you always want to tune down, making it flat, and tune up to the pitch. And then it's good. So now if you notice, these 1, 2, and 3 are good, but 4 isn't. Once you get 4 tuned into E, you got to check everything again. Why? Because again, this is the stronger string. So this might pull the neck a little forward where all these go flat. Okay, so it's easier to start with the thicker string first, and then work your way to the G. If you notice, even D is either flat or sharp, you fix it till it's perfect, and then you recheck again from here all the way down. Okay, always start with the E and work your way down. From there, it just makes it a lot easier. Also, you don't want to go up and then work your way down into pitch. Sometimes that puts too much stress on the neck. If you're doing it with the guitar, it could snap a string. So it's better to detune it, to lower the pitch. So if it's E and it's a little bit sharp, just start to lower it. If it's already flat, you don't have to lower it anymore. You start to bring it back to pitch. So these are just simple things that nobody taught me. A lot of people talk about different things on YouTube about how to tune, but sometimes they won't give you the little tips because they've been playing forever. I'm a raw beginner, so I'm in the moment now practicing, right? So I'm like, okay, the person didn't say it, he just said put it in tune. But why is everything else falling out of tune? Why did my guitar string break? It's like, why didn't anybody say anything? So to make it simple, when you're tuning your bass, always start with the thickest string, work your way up to the highest string. Tune each one. Once you start to tune it, and you're good, right? If something's out of tune, put it in tune, and then start again checking from the thickest and work your way down. So it doesn't matter which ones are out of tune. Make sure starting with the top, the thick string, work your way down. Whatever's out of tune, put that in tune, and then start again with the thick string. Always, if it's sharp, make it a little bit flat, and then work your way up to its neutral. If it's already flat and it's in the right key, then work your way up. So say for instance, if it's in this is an E and it's an F, that's too much already, right? So you're not going to do it a little bit. You're going to go keep lowering it till it's in a E and it's E flat, and then work your way up to E. So if it's sharp by another letter, you want to bring it down. If it's flat by a letter, you'll notice and you'll start to bring it up slowly. Don't go fast because each tuner is very different. Some are very sensitive and some aren't. This is your instrument. You'll know as you start to work on it. So hopefully those tips help. If you play guitar, remember, same thing. Start with the thick string and work your way down, which would be the low E. Because otherwise you're going to end up, once you put on new strings and you start with the lower one first, the higher one, which would be the high E, E and B, and you start with those first, you're most likely going to break strings and you get pissed because if you only have one pack, you're going to have to go buy another pack. So easiest thing to do is always start with the thicker strings and work your way down with tuning and when you're putting on new strings on your instrument. All right, so hopefully that helps. Any other questions, feel free to leave any comments that you want. That's it, super simple. But these are things that some people don't mention. And then when you're tuning, it's like, oh, why is it so difficult? Why did I break a string? Why am I spending so much time tuning? Because just go in this order and you got nothing to worry about. Hope that helps. And knowing is half the battle.
The next one will be A. Then D. And finally, G. When the process is completed, it is important to recheck the tuning. My strings are not new, so I will just recheck the tuning one more time. If you notice, I turned the screen